Welcome back, everybody. We're doing this again one more time. This is Indie Reads Aloud, and today in studio is brand new author to me and maybe to you, TK Cassidy. Welcome, TK. I'm so glad you're in the studio with me today.
Hi, thank you for inviting me. I'm just really excited about this.
I am too, because you're from Montana,
Yes.
and I have yet to meet an author from Montana, so I'm super excited about this.
Love being first.
And in the green room when we were chatting, you also said that you are a librarian or a retired librarian.
Retired
So,
school librarian, yes.
so when when and how did you make the jump from taking care of the books to creating them?
I tell a story when I do my events that when I was about four, a teacher or my mother, I can't remember which, put that little yellow stick in my hand and showed me the little black thing on the end and how it made marks in the paper and the
Uh-huh.
marks made words. And it was Katie bar the door from there. I don't remember a time I didn't write. But then again, I don't remember a time I didn't read either. So when I went to school, and I saw that there was a lady that got to live in the room with the books all day long. That was my goal. I went to college and got a degree in English, secondary English, just because there was no library program close to me. So I got a minor in library sciences. And
Okay.
then I was lucky enough when I moved to Guam and spent 10 years there, somebody hired me as a librarian. And that's what I did from the
I
time
bet that was fascinating
that
being a
was
librarian
fascinating.
in another
Oh
continent.
yeah. Well, yeah, the kick it was that we had children, local children who had never worn shoes before, and we had air-based children who had been all over the world and were very sophisticated. So trying to choose lessons and readings that fit that whole gamut was really, that was a
Yeah.
challenge.
Yeah, and I'm sure a really wonderful experience to
Yes,
see all those slices of culture
yes.
in one
I
room together.
I actually experienced being the only person in the room who didn't speak the prevalent language. And I really think that Americans, as arrogant as we are, really everybody should have that experience because you'd feel a lot better about people who don't speak the English language.
Yes,
It
yes.
it
Yeah,
was an eye opener.
when my son was little, we lived in a district where he was one of three white children in the school, in
Mhm.
elementary school, and
Mhm.
it completely reframed
It does.
his views of society, and now he's one of the most inclusive people I know. So I think there's some good things to be said for once in a while being in the minority.
It is. There is definitely, definitely.
So tell me about your writing career. How long have you been writing? What was the inciting incident, if you will, that got you to start writing books for
Well,
real?
when I lived on Guam, I was on my fun time, my off time, I became a traveling storyteller. And I would go out to the different islands and just tell stories, and I would make up stories that fit the island and everything. And every time I finished this, my signature story, which was called Dolphin Dolphin, um, it's about how I have a dolphin tattoo, and it's the story about how this dolphin tattoo got on my ankle, maybe. And everybody kept saying, "Where's the book? Where's the book? Where's the book? I want the book. I want the book." So I had to write the book. Well, I went the traditional route, and of course, all of the editors there said, "No, no, no, it's a niche book. It'll never sell. We can't, whatever." So I went to the local printer, and I had him print it up for me, and I sold bazillions of those little books. They were only
Nice.
16 pages, and people loved them. And I still have a few that people ask me about every once in a while. But that was
Nice.
it. But when I was all this time, I was writing adult books as well. But when I finally got done and I retired, I looked at my cabinet and I have like 60 half-finished novels. And this thing with the Cuda girls, I had this card that I have carried around for years, a little greeting card, and has three little ladies sitting on the front, and it looks like they're identical twins. And I just wanted to know what those ladies were up to.
Mm,
And so
yeah.
that I still got that card, and that's what
I
did
I
this.
think it's I think it's absolutely fabulous how little snippets. I was just talking to a friend of mine about this the other day. Little snippets of things will jog story or
Exactly.
or jog a memory which you then expound into a
Yeah,
story, or it makes you see something from a different perspective and you think, I wonder where that came from, or how did that happen?
exactly.
Asking
Exactly.
the what if question has always been
Hmm.
so much fun. And as a writer, I think that's probably our best tool is that curiosity.
I think I kept a journal for years. I had those big five subject notebooks full, like 7 or 8 of them. I remember when I was 7, I heard somebody say the wind galloped through her hair, and I loved it.
Oh,
And
fun.
that was the first entry in that. They got destroyed in a fire years ago, but that little thought, I can go back and read those things, and there's that thought, and there's
Yep.
that idea for a story. It's
Yeah.
amazing. People always ask me, where do you get your ideas? Open your eyes and listen, or open your ears
Yeah.
and listen, or
Yeah.
your eyes.
I don't have a lack of ideas for stories. What I have is a lack of time to write them down.
That's the way it goes.
Yeah. So tell me about the story you're going to read today, Whoodah, Thunket, and the Girls. This is book one of the Whoodah, Thunket series. And we were talking in the green room. I love the title of this book. So much fun because it was a phrase, Whoodah, Thunket. That was a phrase that my grandparents used to throw out
Exactly.
a lot. So just give me the overarching synopsis of the book, and then we'll get into the reading.
Okay. Well, these are about 3 sisters who have lived their lives and traveled and had families and everything, and ended up back on the home family place when they're all in their 70s. And everything's going just fine. They're all settled in until they find out that their father, who was an degenerate gambler, um, had left them a debt that they have to pay, and they have to pay it now. So their only option is to go back to what he taught them as children, which is cat burglary. Who'd have thunk it? 70-year-old cat burglars.
That's fantastic. I love this. Even my dog is excited. He's barking like a crazy thing. Okay, so when you are ready, please, TK Cassidy, take the microphone and read aloud from Whoodah, Thunket, and the Girls.
Okay, this is the first adventure that they have, and I'm just going to get right into it. Here we go. Are you sure? Poppet whispered. Absolutely certain? The 3 women stood in the shadows and stared at the expanse of the manicured lawn that separated them from the house. At their feet lay a 16-foot wooden ladder that had definitely seen many workmen's boots. Standing there so long in the damp night under the trees surrounding the huge house had Neddie chilled to the bone. She knew her sisters were feeling the cold as well. They needed to get up and move around before they stiffened up too much to move at all. Let's get going, Aggie whispered. What are we waiting for? Neddie snickered, feeling a bit silly. I guess I'm just a little nervous. You're never nervous. True, but we've done our homework, and like Papa told us. They heard a sniffle behind them. Both heads whipped around, and it threatened Papa with a "don't you start" glare. Poppet snuffed back the tears. I don't know why I have to stay out here. Can't I just sit in the car and watch for intruders? Poppet, you forget, Nitty scoffed. We're the intruders. Besides, you have that vertigo thing to worry about. Poppet shrugged. You know what I mean. I could just go back to the car and whistle if I see anybody coming. Nitty, sh- Nitty shook her head in disbelief. First, I have never heard you whistle once in your life. Never. Second, the car's more than a quarter mile away. Third, we need you to help with the ladder. That thing's way too heavy for us to carry alone. So just suck it up and be quiet. Papa whimpered. So I have to stay outside by myself in the dark and the cold? Aggie groaned. Yes, Papa, that's the plan. You steady the ladder and we go in, and when we come out. But I don't want to be alone out in the dark outside. The whiny voice rose another octave. Shh! Knock off the bickering, you two, snapped Nitty. She tugged the black wool cap further down over her ears, trying to block out the sniveling. Poppet, you made your decision. You said you were afraid to climb up the ladder to the second story. You chose to stay down here. Now, Nitty paused and wiped a hand over her face. Poppet, I don't mean this to be mean, but honestly, I don't think you can get in quietly. Poppet sat up straight, pulled herself to her full height. What are you saying? I'm saying that you might not be able to climb that high with your vertigo and all. Poppet sniffed and sagged back down to her normal posture. Well, maybe. Let's get this over, girls. Put your gloves on. Aggie pulled on Neddie's arm. The women tugged gloves onto their fingers, reached down and grabbed their assigned rung on the ladder. Neddie at the front, Aggie at the rear, and the still sniffling Poppet supporting the middle. Poppet muttered as they walked around the manicured lawn, staying in the shadows. I could climb. I'm the youngest. I could probably scamper right up that ladder. You know, if not for the vertigo and all. Scamper. Aggie laughed with a scoff. None of us can scamper anymore. Aggie looked up at the rambling house. Here on the east side, a slightly open window waited for them. Fortunately, the second floor was shielded from the driveway. The window had nothing but bare wall below it. With one end of the ladder over her right shoulder and her sisters a step behind her, Neddie walked toward the window until she was close enough to lift the ladder up against the wall. She put her end of the cumbersome wood structure up as high as she could and held the long beams steady. When the ladder finally came to rest against the bottom of the window, Aggie stood back and dusted her hands. Phew, that's not as easy as it used to be. Sarcasm dripped as Neddie snapped, so what is? She put a foot on the bottom rung of the ladder. Aggie, as soon as I'm in, you bring the other stuff. And you, she pointed at Poppet, who needed to be kept busy, you stay here and warn us in case anyone comes by. With that, she clambered up the ladder to the window. Her father's tools hung in a neat array at her waist and jangled slightly with each step. Neddie wasn't really worried about anyone coming by the house. This little town hasn't had a robbery in. Neddie tried to remember how long. The police probably don't even remember how to read a crime scene anymore, she thought with a snarky smile on her face. She shook her head to refocus her thoughts as she slipped the gloved fingers under the bottom of the window and pressed up. Careful not to lean backward, she lifted the window to full open. As soon as she was successful, she waved down at her sisters and crawled out of view. Once inside, Neddie crouched on the floor, knees and back aching from the climb. She took a few precious seconds to steady her breath. Between climbing the ladder and the adrenaline rush, her heart was pounding much too fast. When her eyes grew accustomed to the darkness of the room, she stood up and started to step away from the window when she thought she heard Aggie call out a soft warning. The ladder scraped against the wall as the wood bent under the weight of someone climbing. I'm not staying out here alone, Poppet's whiny voice came through the open window. Oh, for the love of... Neddie returned to the window and looked down. There was Poppet, halfway up the ladder. Aggie was only a few rungs below her. What are you doing? I'm scared, Neddie. I don't want to stay out in the dark alone. Exasperated, Neddie rubbed a glove over her hand and called down softly. Fine, get in here. She leaned out the window to offer a hand. At that moment, Poppet looked down. When she realized how far she was off the ground, she gasped, wrapped her arms tightly around the ladder. I can't move, Neddie. I'll fall. Poppet's wail cut through the quiet night. I'm getting my vertigo just like in that movie. Neddie cursed mightily under her breath, leaned out as far as she could, and commanded, Give me your hand. No, I'll fall if I let go. Prudence, Margaret, give me your hand right now. Close your eyes and reach up. You know I won't let you fall. Slowly, the whimpering Poppet did as she was told. As she loosened her fingers and slid her gloved palm up along the She loosened her clenched fingers and slid the palm of her gloved hand along the rough wood. As her arm reached the end of its stretch, she felt Neddie's long fingers stretch around her hand, and she grabbed tightly. Don't pull, you fool, Neddie gasped and then tugged Poppet's hand. Take one step up. No, I can't. Oh, for crying in a bucket. Aggie, where are you? The muffled sound of Aggie's voice whispered. I'm right behind her, just a couple of rungs down. Well, put a shoulder into her and push, Neddie demanded. Aggie climbed high enough to wedge her shoulder under her sister's ample backside. Poppet cried out as her plump body began to move upward, whether she wanted to climb or not. Neddie pulled and Aggie pushed. They worked their way upward, rickety step by rickety step. When Poppet felt the edge of the window scrape her arm, she let go of Neddie's hand, grabbed the sill, and pulled herself up a bit more. Let me go! I can do this now! Neddie sniffed and let herself fall back onto the plush carpet. She heard Aggie whisper, "Then move! I don't have much strength left here." Poppet climbed another rung until she could flop half her body onto the window ledge. Instantly, she knew she'd misjudged how far she was inside. Neddie? She knew Neddie was nearby, but she couldn't see her. What? I'm kinda, stuck. What do you mean, kinda? Well, I'm half in. My feet are off the ladder and I just can't tip inside. I swear, Poppet, when we get home. Aggie's gasping voice whispered, "Threaten her later, will you? I'm losing my grip here." Nitty rose back up. Nitty rose back up and grabbed Poppet's wide shoulders. "Push, Aggie, push!" Poppet could feel her body press further into the window ledge. Aggie lifted Poppet's support hose-covered leg onto her shoulders. Poppet felt a cool breeze ruffle the skirt she now regretted she had insisted on wearing. Her arms were being pulled out of their socket, and the wood was cutting into her belly. She yelled, "Ow, Nitty, you're hurting me!" "Shut up, Poppet." "Aggie," Nitty called, "can you push her any more?" Aggie called back breathlessly, "I'll try. She's just far enough in that she's bouncing like a teeter-totter. Every time you pull her, her legs fly into the air and I lose touch." As she said that, Nitty pulled once again. Poppet squealed as her legs flew up and her arms stretched. Aggie stepped up one more rung and grabbed Poppet's legs. "Try rocking her side to side." "No!" Poppet cried as she felt herself tipped to the left and then quickly to the right. "I'm gonna be sick." "Hush," Nitty groaned and sat back on her heels. "Hey, do that once more," Aggie called from below. "She's almost in." An exasperated blast of air flew from Nitty's lips as she took hold of Poppet's arms for one more try. "Poppet, if this doesn't work, I'm going to push you back out." "But no buts," Nitty snarled as she braced her feet against the wall under the window and pulled once more. "If you don't want to fall and take Aggie with you, you better get through this window." Thinking of falling and hurting her sister gave Poppet the extra impetus she needed. "Pull me, Nitty! Push me, Aggie!" Poppet began to rock herself side to side. "She's moving!" Aggie triumphantly called out. Teeth grinding, Nitty snarled, "You should have stayed outside." With each groaned word, Nitty gave a strong tug. Poppet's plump body inched in the window. One final pull, a squeal of pain, and Poppet fell through the window into Nitty's lap. Nitty climbed in behind Poppet. Poppet started to giggle. Both Nitty and Aggie looked at her in surprise. Poppet put a hand to her mouth, the other palm outward towards her sisters, snickering wildly. In a few seconds, she dropped her hands away from her face and said, "For a few minutes there, I was a great Poppet totter." She laughed. "Get it? Poppet totter instead of teeter-totter?" Aggie smiled and patted Poppet's hands. Nitty turned away. "You people have no sense of humor sometimes," Poppet whispered. Nitty whipped around again. "Yeah, yippee, fun. We don't have time for fun," Nitty snickered. "Now, darn good thing no one's home. Now let's get going." Anxious to prove that she could be of help, Poppet called, "I'll get the ladder." She leaned over the edge and lifted the legs leaning against the house just as both sisters cried out, "No!" Poppet jumped at the loud cries. The ladder slipped from her hands. The sisters held their breath and listened to the ladder fall away from the house with a loud clattering, scraping crash. Sheepishly, Poppet turned to face her sisters. Two sets of eyes glared at her. She raised her hands in protest. "What?" she whined. "I mean, surely you weren't planning to go back down that way." And that's where I'm going to leave you.
That is super fun. Oh my
Thank
gosh.
you.
Oh my gosh. I was really giggling to I'm gonna have to go buy this book now. Thank you very
Oh.
much. What a fun reading. Oh
I
my God.
actually had a I actually had a fan draw a picture and mail it to me of Poppet in the window. It's just hysterical.
I
But
think what a great premise these 70-year-old sisters turned cat burglars. I just love this idea. It's so much fun. In the green
yeah,
room, you mentioned it might be a film. I don't know how much you're allowed to talk about that right now.
the
Can you
only thing I can tell
can you
you,
confirm or deny?
I can confirm, and I can also confirm we have an A-list director assigned to the project. He has
Fantastic.
done things like Seinfeld and Friends. He's got over 400 credits to his name. He did a
Nice.
movie called Queen Bees, which was
Okay.
about older ladies. So he's got his name is Michael Lernan.
Okay.
I think he never can remember it's Lerman or Lernan. But anyway, if you go to my website, you'll see they've got a stack there. They'll tell you all about what the characters are going and what's going on and everything. So
Fantastic. What
yes, I'm so
fun.
excited.
And there is a link in the show notes to TK's website for anybody who is interested in that. What comes next for you? This is the first in a series. How many books are in the series currently
Right.
published?
I'm writing the fourth one right now. There are three. I never intended this to become a series. I went to an online book talk that someone
Mm-hmm.
hired me to do or asked me to do. And the people liked it so much they kept saying, well, what's next? And I said, I don't know. And they started spitballing ideas. And
Ah.
dadgummit, if five months later I didn't have the second one. And of course the third one was just automatic. And now the fourth one is so off the wall, I'm not sure what's going to happen.
That's terrific fun. What that means for me, though, is that I get the joy of you coming back at least
Woohoo!
3 more times to read
Yeah,
for me again.
super. I'll be glad to do it.
Fantastic. Now, aside from this series, are you working on any other projects?
Yes, but it's a big secret. I
Okay. All right.
I'm a person who I find humor in everything. There is
Mm-hmm.
nothing that I can't laugh about, and I like my life that way. And unfortunately, I have a serial killer who's keeping me awake at nights. So I'm
Yeah,
also working on a serial killer novel, which I'll publish under another name because I don't think my peeps will like it very much.
I understand completely.
I'm always even stunned that I can think that way. So, but I've
Well,
got several romances and several time traveling books that I'm working on.
oh, very cool. Those will be fun. You'll have
Yes,
to come back when those are released and read those as well. I'm a firm believer that authors can write in many genres. I myself have written 14 books, and my goal is to write one book in each of the 35 major genres.
perfect.
So I think it's like ice cream. You need to try them all before you can choose a
Exactly.
favorite.
Mhm.
I think that's how that works.
I think it's perfect analogy.
So, what book do you think is book four going to be out first? Or do you think the next project we can look for is a piece from the serial killer idea? What should we keep our eyes open for next?
Well, I'm working on the fourth book mostly. I've been promising the fourth book for over a year. We came up to Montana from Alabama in June because my husband's born and raised in Alabama. And we
Mhm.
went back after a 2 month stay up here. And 2 weeks later, we loaded up lock, stock, and barrel and moved up here permanently. And so that's taken a big chunk out of my writing time.
Sure. Yeah,
So
I understand
I'm
that.
just now having got my household set up, downsized from 3 bedrooms, my own office, and my own sewing room to a 1 bedroom apartment. Things are getting settled. Now I can start writing again. So,
Perfect. I understand that I just recently bought a new home myself, so I know what that's like.
yeah, it's glorious and it's hard at the same time.
Yes. Thank
But
you so much for coming on the program. I'm just so thrilled to have met you, and I can't wait to read this book. This is going to be super
oh,
fun.
I hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
And I look forward to having you come back. Yes?
Yes, and anytime you're ready. I
Awesome.
also have a book about a little old guy who's um he's one of those guys that sticks around in the town all the time. But he's never a ne'er-do-well, never really does much. And he finds out that the town is going to give free food, medical, housing, everything to the oldest person in their town on the centennial. There's 5 people older than him. He's not a good hitman, but his ideas are almost brilliant, which is the title of the book. So I already
Almost
have that one ready too.
I like that.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah.
Yes. I want to see you come back a lot.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be here. See you
All
tomorrow
right.
morning.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Have an awesome day.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye bye.